Here we are, Hudson County View, live and uncut. And I'm your host, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, the women's pet, and the men's regret, where what you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet. John, our highness. And of course, the latest and greatest in Hudson County news is every week. And we got quite a few interesting topics, which of course is the norm here. We want to talk about the Civilian Complaint Review Board in Jersey City. That actually didn't make it to a vote last night, but we still heard some interesting public comments. And, in an opportune turn of events, actually joining me today will be Ward E Councilman James Solomon, one of the co-sponsors of that legislation. So certainly we're going to have a discussion about that and much more. Last week, where we were snowed out, also in Ward E news, we now know that Chief Municipal Prosecutor Jake Hudson will be on Mayor Stephen Fulop's ticket. I think it's inevitable we'll be discussing that as well. On top of that, beyond just the nitty-gritty Jersey City politics, we also heard today that Jersey City and Hoboken bike share program is moving forward. It's looking like 650 bikes in Jersey City and 300 in Hoboken, pending council approval in the Mile Square City next week. So that's good news for those of you that have given up your cars in favor of two wheels. So let's see how that goes. But I can't imagine that's not going to be approved. That seems like a pretty simple one. So we'll see what happens there. And beyond that, we're also going to talk about COVID-19, as we have been for almost a year now. We're going to talk about what's been going on at the various vaccination sites across the county. All that, and perhaps even a little bit more, but first we're going to take a break from our sponsors.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunley Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. John, our highness, and as I just mentioned a few moments ago, I'm joined today with Jersey City Ward E Councilman James Solomon. Councilman, always nice to have you in here.
Good to see you. Thank you, John.
No problem. So first of all, like I mentioned, the Civilian Complaint Review Board, I mean, coincidentally, last time you were here in September, we were talking about that, and it looked like it was getting there, and it got pulled. You guys went back to the negotiating table. Everything looked good last week. And, as luck would have it, at Monday's caucus just wasn't quite there. So, we've heard a little bit about what happened. But just from your perspective, could you tell us how things broke down this time around?
Yeah, I think I would pause, right? So Councilman Ridley and I have been working very closely together. She's been a great partner in advancing the CCRB forward. And what she and I both kind of agreed with was we wanted to sit down with all of our colleagues, hear them all out, and in the course of those conversations, a couple of pieces of feedback came back to us, some questions about the appointment, some questions about minor clauses in the bill. So we said, look, let's take a break, take a step back, make those changes, and then when we move forward, we should be able to go forward confidently. We've both said we want this back on the March 10th meeting. That would just be a 2-week pause if we make that goal. I have every intention of making it. So to me, it's just about getting it right because it's so important for the city. And I think it's probably worth also just taking a quick step back on why it's so important, right? Today, if you, the citizen, feel like you've been mistreated by a police officer and you file an internal affairs report, The entire process is both investigated by the fellow police officers or the person you may have accused, and is entirely secret. It's secret from me as a councilman, it's secret from you as a journalist, it's secret from you as a citizen. And nobody in their right mind would design a process that's that secretive and that's insular. And Civilian Complaint Review Board would create civilians, trusted community members overseeing those types of complaints, and it would add transparency into a totally secretive system.
Now, we heard, despite the withdrawal, we heard about maybe a dozen or so residents and also activists, some non-residents, speaking in favor of this last night. And, one thing that I think is interesting, though, is that Councilwoman Ridley mentioned that the appointment process was a sticking point here. And I know that was a problem, back last year, too. So what do you think is going to be the resolution? I mean, do you have any color on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're going to make some adjustments to it, but the core structure will remain the same. And the core structure is ensuring that the community, independent community voices, not people from the political machine, have a great say in who gets appointed to the board, because that's how the board has trust. So I think we're going to sit down, I think we're going to make some adjustments to that process, and I think we'll come back with a bill that it passes the city council. And then I was joking the other day, it's a merengue, it's a two-step. So first step is Jersey City, and then the second step is Trenton. So we're going to hopefully put the foundation in place in Jersey City very soon, and then all of our efforts and all of our focus go to Trenton to ensure that the state passes the bill in Trenton, Assemblyman McKnight's CCRB bill, that would give us the authority to ensure our CCRB is strong in Jersey City.
So what do you think about the perspective that some say, the CCRB in Jersey City, as you know, of course, can't be enacted until the state takes their action. So some people believe that maybe you should have let Trenton go first. So why did you feel that this made more sense?
Yeah, it's a great question and a totally reasonable one. First, Assemblyman McKnight has said to both Councilman Ridley and myself, you going in Jersey City helps me in Trenton. Because now the two biggest cities in New Jersey, Newark and Jersey City, have not just said we want a CCRB because words are cheap. We've taken action. We've taken political steps that, may come back to bite us, right? I mean, I saw the comments from the POBA president. I'm sure he's going to be spending money against me in the upcoming election, right? But I'm saying that this is so important, it's worth taking the political heat for. It's so important for Jersey City that, you sort of say, look, I don't care what comes back at me. And that's what Assemblyman McKnight can take to everyone else in Trenton and say, look, people in Jersey City and Newark are putting their money where their mouth is, and that's going to help her.
So you mentioned Carmine Disbrow, not by name, but there we go. Carmine Disbrow, the POBA president. Yeah. So, he had a pretty strong statement, as you alluded to, and he said that, he feels like this could send a chilling effect to the men and women of the JCPD, and he feels like political appointees should not be second-guessing law enforcement decisions in the heat of the moment. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but that was about it. So, I mean, what's your, direct reaction to what he said there?
Yeah, so it's clear that we shouldn't have fear-mongering about a CCRB, right? Civilian review boards are in many, many cities across the country. The people appointed are going to be trusted community members. There's a public process to appoint them, so if the POBA feels there's a member who might not be fair and impartial, they can come before the city council before we vote on that person and express their views and opinions. The CCRB will have at least one ex-law enforcement officer on the CCRB to provide that important perspective in discussions. But let's be clear, right? The current system is secret. Nobody can look into it. And I don't see how in your right mind you could defend that system, a system in which the public has no ability to know if the internal affairs are fairly investigating accusations of misconduct.
And just one more thing on this topic. So I know there was a point where there was a draft where the appointees of the CCRB board would be paid. Is that still the plan at this moment?
So it is not in the current draft. The CCRB members would not be paid. I think on a broader policy level, we should look at the idea of sort of minimal compensation for people who take their time to serve on all of Jersey City's boards. Planning board, environmental commission, zoning commission, hopefully CCRB in the future, because people are giving their time, and we don't want to make this something that only people who have the money to volunteer their time can do. So I think we should look on that, but it's not going to be for CCRB by itself. It's going to be for a holistic look at all of the boards in Jersey City.
Very good, Councilman. With that, we're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The Jersey City Medical Center. You know it for its award-winning, life-saving ambulance service. It's also your health hub, with health and wellness locations staffed with certified professionals all through Hudson County. The Jersey City Medical Center, here to help you with your healthy, here when you need us the most. The Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the net to learn more. Jersey City Medical Center, Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers the quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. John Arhitis, and I obviously am still with Jersey City Wardy Councilman James Solomon. So, Councilman, that was opportune time. We finished up, right on the dot there. So let's talk a little bit about the upcoming election, November 2nd. It's still a ways off, obviously, but now, finally, after weeks of speculation, we know Jake Hudson, Chief Municipal Prosecutor, head of the Quality of Life Task Force, and former ally to a certain point at least, from 2017 anyway, now will be your opponent, and he'll be running on the mayor's ticket. So just generally speaking, what did you think of their announcement and how they framed his candidacy?
Yeah, I welcome Jake to the race, and I said at the announcement, which is what I truly believe, is that on November 2nd, the voters are going to pick the candidate with political independence and progressive values. And I think over the last 4 years, my track record really speaks for itself. I promised voters 4 years ago, looked them in the eye and promised them, right, I'm going to remain independent. I'm going to work with Mayor Fulop when he's doing the right thing, but I'm going to challenge him and say that he's doing the wrong thing when he does that. And that's what I've done. We authored the Airbnb legislation together with Councilman Prinzeri, got that passed. That's when he was doing what was right. But when he just put a secret $16 million water tax on the taxpayers of Jersey City, didn't tell anybody, did it secretly through the MUA, I said, what the fundamental truth is that is wrong. And that's what I think the voters of Wardy want. They want independence and they want progressive values. And I'm very confident that on November 2nd, they'll vote to re-elect me.
All right, very good. So now, interestingly, just a couple days ago now, Tuesday evening, when most of us were settled in at home, we saw a tweet from Matt Freeman of Politico, and we saw that announcement, I believe that was February 18th. And then on February 19th, there was an amendment on a state Senate bill that appeared to be aimed at state prosecutors like the Attorney General, and said that after you resign from that post, you can't run for office for 3 years. Now, at that point, the initial draft of the bill said nothing about municipal prosecutors, so it was assumed, at least in my book, that it had nothing to do with them. But then, again, as I just mentioned, on February 19th, this amendment came into play, and it specifically says, by the way, municipal prosecutors aren't included in this bill. So I imagine you have some thoughts and feelings on that. I saw you already had a post, but nonetheless.
Yeah, so I've been in New Jersey politics for roughly 4 years, and that's enough time to say that I do not believe in coincidences in New Jersey politics, right? So if the amendment is the day after the announcement, it is. I don't think that was a coincidence. With that said, I'm not running for re-election based on things that are happening in Trenton. So I'm not feel the need to sort of say more than what I said, which was that it was a funny, it was a very funny coincidence. And I'm really proud to just be running for re-election, and I think a really great track record. And I'm really proud of the work on safe streets. Every single major street in downtown either will have safety improvements or safety improvements in progress and planning over my 4 years in downtown. We're going to get the first new school built this year in downtown in roughly a century, and we've put in place the ability to build the first new elementary school in downtown in roughly a century. So I think there's a number of really great things that I'm going to run for re-election having accomplished, and then talk about what the plan is for the next 4 years and how to do even better for the residents of Wardy. And that's going to be my focus. And the stuff in the state legislature, have a chuckle, but that's not why I'm running for office.
Understood.
Yeah.
Just to put it out there in case anyone may have missed it, Team
Yeah.
Fulop, did respond and they called it a coincidence. So, I guess we're going to believe what we want to believe, but that's what they said. So anyways, let's talk a little bit just for a second about that school. So this was a project that there was an initial proposal you were against, and then it came back and you supported it, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think I was opposed ever, but we can talk more about it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just, I guess refresh my memory then. Like what
Sure.
exactly happened from start to finish here?
Yeah, this is the Laurel Saddlewood Development Project. There had been a original proposal to redevelop the area that actually came from the homeowners who live there. And I think that's very important for people to know. This didn't come from a developer. The homeowners themselves said, hey, we want to redevelop our area. And they actually went and they interviewed developers and actually went and picked one to partner with. And the original proposal did not include a school. And at that point, I sort of said, look, I'm not sure this is what the community needs, but I had been studying the just extraordinary lack of school capacity in downtown. And we were short at that point roughly 600 school seats in the entirety of downtown. And that was before we added thousands and thousands of housing units over the coming years. So I went back and I said, look guys, is this a project where you can build a full elementary school? And the very specific request was not a pre-K. Pre-K is great, we need more pre-K, but we want families to stay in downtown, build roots. So can you guys build us a full elementary school, pre-K 3 through 5? They came back and said yes, and at that point I supported the project, and then obviously it had to move forward, it passed the city council, and they're now still working through some of the planning stages before it gets, construction starts.
Okay. I think the reason I was confused, you and Mayor Fulop had a little dust up a few months ago, and
Yeah.
you said you flip-flopped on this project downtown, but I guess he was talking about something else.
Well, yeah, I think I know what he's talking about. He's talking about the affordable housing component.
Yeah.
And the affordable housing component, and I've been honest about it, it isn't what it should be, right? It's 5% on that project, and we want more. But for me, we have had basically a century without new schools built in downtown. We have created, for decades, poor planning, adding thousands and thousands of units without new schools. So from my perspective, the school is worth moving one project forward. But when we talk about setting the affordable housing rules, not for one project, but for the whole city for the next decade, we need to set better and stronger rules. And so that's where the disagreement came from. But from my perspective, I'm proud of that project, and then I'm proud to fight for affordable housing in a lot of other ways, including the Bayfront project, one where the mayor and I are on the same side. And I was the deciding vote on the council back in 2018. You needed 6 votes to pass. He had 5 votes from Team Fulop. I was the independent. I gave the 6th vote because it was the right thing to do, and obviously the Bayfront project has been a big success.
Very good, Councilman. And just anything else that's topical, anything else you just wanted to get there before we let you go today?
It's a very good question. Very, very excited to be working with a team of students from the new school about how we can strengthen Jersey City's anti-corruption policies. As you well know, because you've done incredible reporting on it, we've had a series of investigations and arrests in Jersey City. Obviously, Sudan Thomas being, there's more arrests than I can. Yeah, there's more arrests than I can count on that guy. But we had a woman in the rec department. We've had officers in the off-duty program. We had Tommy Bertoli, the mayor's political advisor, through tax evasion charges. So there are a number of arrests, and to me, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again and expecting different results. So we're bringing this team in to study Jersey City's anti-corruption policies, see how we can strengthen them, and I'm very excited. In about a month, they should have a plan for me, and then I'll get to share that with the public and hopefully move forward and advance a series of anti-corruption policies for the city.
Well, that certainly sounds like something to look forward to. I did have a chance to speak with them. Seems like a sharp team. So, look forward to seeing the end result. Councilman, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining in. We're not done yet, but we are going to take one more commercial break. We'll be right back.
Most women who give birth recover without problems, but any woman can have complications after the birth of a baby. Learn the post-birth warning signs, such as fever, headache, chest pain, shortness of breath, increased bleeding, or thoughts of hurting yourself or someone else. Knowing these can save your life or the life of someone that you love. Trust your instincts. If you feel something is wrong, call and get evaluated by your healthcare provider. If your symptoms get worse or you do not hear back from your physician, call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Pan & Pinto Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces that address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment. Adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintoproperties.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. John R. Highness. So like I said, wanted to get to a couple things before we call it a week here. So let me tell you about a bill that was introduced by Assemblywoman Annette Chaparro, who actually just joined us 2 weeks ago. But, you know, regardless of that, the Assemblywoman introduced a bill that would allow proof of payment from NJ Transit that would eliminate a $75 fines for people that ride the light rail and they forget their timestamp. So let me just tell you a little bit about the bill. First, let me take you from her perspective what's going on here. There's no reason for someone who rightfully bought a light rail ticket but failed to validate it to be penalized equally to a person who did not buy a ticket. Some riders may expect a conductor to validate their ticket just as they do on commuter rails, or may not know they're supposed to timestamp their own ticket on a separate machine. With varying policies and procedures across NJ Transit services, it's easy to see why there could be confusion. This bill simplifies the ticket validation process for riders by providing them proof of payment and ticket validity. The goal is to protect passengers from being unfairly penalized and make the system easier for all. So basically, I mean, I think that's a pretty good summary, but basically under Bill A-1223, passengers would receive proof of payment that would include the time period for which the ticket is valid or the time of expiration, so that light rail riders would not need to timestamp their tickets any longer. And again, that risk of being fined would no longer be there. So, you know, we're seeing a lot of positive feedback online, especially on our Facebook post on this story. A lot of people are pretty excited about this. You know, sometimes it's the little things, and this is something that, you know, people, obviously commuters, have been bothered by for quite a while. So if they could put an end to this, it looks like it would make a lot of people happy. And it doesn't look like this would take a lot of manpower. Obviously, I can't speak for NJ Transit, but it seems like something that could be implemented in relatively short order. But, you know, with all that said, this has still got a little ways to go. This was cleared by the Assembly Transportation and Independent Authorities Committee, but, you know, it'll still need a vote of the full Assembly. Of course, it will have to pass a Senate committee, and then the full Senate, and then Governor Phil Murphy would have to sign. So, you know, at best, we're probably a few weeks away. But certainly an interesting piece of legislation that, again, a lot of people had some interesting feedback on. So another thing, I mean, I almost never talk about letters to the editor or editorials while I'm here, but I'm going to make an exception this time because we got an editorial from Jersey City Board of Education President Musab Ali, and he's actually calling on Governor Phil Murphy to switch stances on, in the sense that he wants teachers to be vaccinated immediately. So let me just give you a little excerpt of what he's talking about here. I mean, in my opinion, I think a pretty well-written editorial. We haven't heard any news from the governor, but let's go to this. In order to properly run a school district of this size, we need to ensure that our staff are protected to keep schools open. Currently, all staff must quarantine when there is a COVID-19 case in their building. If our staff were vaccinated, this would minimize the need to shut down a building due to a COVID concern. It is not too late to adjust your plan to include making school employees eligible to receive the vaccine. California Governor Newsom just announced he would reserve 10% of the state's first doses for teachers and school employees. We should follow his lead. Despite the CDC's recent comments that vaccinating teachers is not a mandatory prerequisite for schools opening, it's still a highly recommended course of action. So that's, again, just a small excerpt, but I think that's an interesting thing, especially ahead of tonight's Jersey City Board of Education meeting, where I'm told from several credible sources that parents are going to be speaking in favor of some level of reopening. You know, obviously the virtual learning process has been a drag on parents, on students, families, faculty, teachers, in certain ways. And I mean, of course, everybody wants to stay safe, especially when it comes to family, loved ones, colleagues. But it's been a long time, as we all know. I mean, last March, Governor Murphy closed the schools due to the pandemic, and now some people are hoping to at least get to some version of hybrid learning. Of course, that doesn't mean that the school district is going to enact anything of that nature, but you know, I've got a good feeling that we're going to hear quite a bit on this subject tonight. So that meeting's at 6 o'clock, and you could watch that on the Jersey City Public Schools Facebook page. That's a live stream. And right now, we're just going to take a final commercial break. We'll see you in just a few moments.
Stevens Jersey City Ford, located right off of NJ 440 North. Across the Hudson Mall is your one stop for all your automotive needs. Check out Ford's latest models like the 2020 Ford Fusion with its stylish looks and hybrid options, or the unparalleled high-performance 2020 Ford Mustang. The 2020 Ford F-150 Raptor is ready for those rugged off-road terrains with trail control. Need a mid-sized truck for your towing and hauling? The 2020 Ford Ranger will deliver. The 2020 Ford Escape is a luxury SUV that was made for comfort and adventure on the go. Returning is Ford's legendary Bronco, which takes you back to the true meaning of off-roading. They are now available for pre-order in our showroom or on our website. Let us help you find your next vehicle. Stevens Jersey City Ford, 201-432-7272.
Hudson County View, live and uncut, John Arhitis. So we want to talk about a pretty big decision up over in North Hudson. As we reported last month, longtime business administrator Chris Peonies, who has worked in the township of North Bergen since 1989, will be retiring in the summer. And we've actually found his successor, and it's a familiar face. North Bergen Health Officer Janet Castro will succeed Peonies, and it looks like she'll be taking over effective on July 1, and Peonies will be sticking around to help her through the transition. So certainly a hearty congratulations is in order there. And we're going to read a statement briefly from State Senator and North Bergen Mayor Nick Sacco. He said, Janet Castro has proven herself to be an incredibly dedicated and competent public servant, especially in the last year when she has guided our comprehensive response to the COVID-19 pandemic as our top public health official. And a lot of eyes have been on her in the past year, ever since this public health emergency, because not only is she the health officer in North Bergen, she's also the health officer in Union City, Weehawken, Harrison, Secaucus, and Guttenberg. So certainly she has been busy like all of our public health employees across the state and really across the nation, but her work has been noticed here in Hudson County, as you can see by this significant, if you want to call it, promotion. So we're also going to hear from what Chris Peonies, who of course will be departing, had to say on this. And he said, having collaborated with Janet Castro for many years, and especially seeing the way she has worked around the clock, helping us handle the pandemic over the last year, I have tremendous confidence that she is the right person for this position. So just briefly, some background on her work experience. She's been employed by the township since 2004, has a bachelor's degree in psychology and sociology, a master's degree in public health, and is pursuing a second master's degree in public administration, as well as the Certified Public Managers Program at Rutgers University. So, certainly looks like she has big shoes to fill, but also certainly looks like she's up for the challenge. So that's something we're going to keep our eyes on up in the north. And I guess you could call this a real estate story, but realistically, it's so much more. Before we call it a day, I just want to tell you about Devil's Arena Entertainment taking on the $72 million renovation of Jersey City's Lowe's Theater. You can see right there behind me one of the renderings that were released. And, clearly this is a big investment for Journal Square, for the Lowe's Theater, and for the city of Jersey City. I mean, $72 million, of course, is nothing to shake a stick at, even when you're talking municipal budgets, right? And construction's tentatively expected to begin in 2022, and opening is tentatively planned for 2025. So let's hear a little bit more about what's happening here. As you know, this theater is about a century old, and they want a state-of-the-art 3,300-seat venue to attract superstar and up-and-coming performing artists, as well as to serve as an economic engine and development and hub for Journal Square. So, just quickly, what they're looking to do is modernize the technology with visual and acoustic upgrades. They're talking about, basically HVAC, plumbing, and electrical upgrades, and historic preservation of stage lighting, control boards, pop-up microphones, orchestra, organ lifts, and much more. I mean, I imagine most of you have seen this one already, but if you haven't and you're interested in what's going on in Journal Square, I highly recommend you give it a read when you have a chance. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a show. Thanks so much for your continued attention and support. We'll see you next week.